Science and technology relations between the U.S., China, and China are evolving. Both are navigating a delicate balance in their scientific collaborations. Dialogue continues, with the U.S. Deciding in late August to extend a landmark science and technology agreement with China for another 6 months. In terms of science and tech, the main areas of cooperation are climate change, research, space, and health. But there are still discussions surrounding intellectual property rights, cybersecurity, and trade restrictions that impact technology exchanges. Just last month, the UN formed a global advisory body on AI. Members include China and the US, so there is potential for global cooperation on that front. And the semiconductor industry has gone through ups and downs with the pandemic, having hit supply chains and increasing demand. It also enveloped the US and China trade conflict. Recent action from the Biden administration made it trickier. Mark New explains.
The White House's most recent executive order targeting investment in China cites concern over semiconductors multiple times. How the order will impact chip sales to China is still unclear. But what is clear is that U.S. companies hope to avoid a supply chain disruption.
Right now, the supply chain, for the first time in years, pre-COVID, is almost getting back to normalization. The last thing you want to see right now, especially going into holidays, going into an iPhone launch for 15, going into this AI gold rush, is further supply chain issues. And I think any restrictions would add complexity to that.
The Semiconductor Industry Association in the U.S. recently issued a statement urging the Biden administration to allow continued access to China's market so as to avoid disrupting supply chains, causing significant market uncertainty, and prompting continued escalatory retaliation by China. San Jose State Professor Ahmed Banafa says additional chip restrictions could have a major impact.
It's going to impact companies here in the United States big time because they have manufacturing facilities in China. They have it in Asia in general. They're going to move it to another country. Then you have to build the knowledge, the skills again. At the same time, their market, this is a big market for them in China.
Companies like Intel are navigating choppy waters.
According to news reports, Intel, against all the headwinds, right, is planning to set up a plant in China right now. Right? So clearly, instead of decoupling, Intel is deepening its business and research relationship in the China market.
Okay. The Biden administration just celebrated the anniversary of the CHIPS and Science Act of 2022, which includes a $52 billion investment to spur semiconductor development in the United States.
The United States has advantage in the research, has advantage, in the patents, has advantage in so many things. China has advantage in the materials and the labor. That's why the United States would like to bring the manufacturing here, so at least take one of those advantages.
While the Biden administration has emphasized national security, some analysts say it also has a lot to do with competition, especially in the field of artificial intelligence.
A big part of the chip restriction has to do with the ongoing AI competition between China and U.S. because AI represents the latest data technology and the latest technology breakthrough overall. Right, and for that, it is just like any other technologies, is powered by chips.
Ma calls the semiconductor industry an integrated global ecosystem where interactions from all players help build a better product. But without that cooperation, each side has no choice but to embark on domestic replacement. That is, investing in highly complex chip building facilities at home. Mark New, CGTN, San Francisco.
For more insight into that technology cooperation, I spoke with Rebecca Fannin. She's the founder of Silicon Dragon Ventures and author of her new book, Silicon Heartland. She talks about the significance of the venue where both presidents met today.
It's interesting that this meeting right now between Xi and Biden is happening in Woodside, which is at the top of the hill of Sand Hill Road, where all the venture capital investors are based, or many of them are based. And of course, Silicon Valley is the world's leader in venture capital as well. So they're only a few miles from Venture Capital Central. And this is where a lot of these issues are being played out right now, where restrictions of U.S. venture capital into China. There's been a dramatic slowdown, and many of the venture firms that were investing in China before are now splitting those operations, such as Sequoia and GGV Capital. They both have split their China operations from their U.S. operations. So you're seeing that China is more cut off in these kind of technology innovation and venture than it was before.
And I guess that leads me to my next question, which is, you know, the irony, I guess, is symbolic where they're having this summit. But is there hope, perhaps, that there could be some areas or industries within technology that they could collaborate on?
Well, one always has hope, and a number of these meetings this week have been very optimistic, always talking about some way of getting to a global standard. Maybe the global standard is the answer, because we can't live in a world where there are dual standards and there's all this conflict. So yeah, maybe getting to a global standard is the hope, and that's what I'm hearing about a lot this week at various APEC meetings and talking with startups and investors and economic developers. So yeah, maybe the global standard could work.
And when you think of global standards, I mean, this year in 2023, there's been, you can't read a technology article without talking about AI, and that has basically been the headline story of almost all of this, with the exception of maybe arguably chips, but even that you can relate it back to AI. Governments,
exactly.
the role of AI, I guess, in 2024, is it going to be the same as what we saw this year?
Well, all the action is around generative AI, advanced AI, and that's going to really speed up things a lot more. AI was slow and slow, many, many decades in arriving, and then all of a sudden it bursts open with generative AI. And now half of the investment from venture capital in the United States is going into AI. And meantime, Kai-Fu Lee in China has developed his own AI model called Y. And of course, he's the maestro of AI. He's, one of the world's leading experts in AI. So now that's developing in China too through Kai-Fu Lee. Meantime, we have OpenAI and a whole bunch of generative AI startups in the US. So AI is definitely a field to watch.
It's been a challenge this past year, keeping up on top of it. Things are changing so quickly. Rebecca, good to see you, and thank you.